wild. Paris. Hi, Lane. Hello. So we're going to do we have a surprise for you today. You can see 4, I would like to call them new residents, but they've been here for 6 months. So these are 4 sheep, and they're very small, but they are full-grown sheep. That's Rory is the one that's up actually in the back, the black one in the back with the gray wool. The one in the front is Lorelei, and then the first white one is Lane, and the second white one is Paris. And they were a part of a cruelty case that we were participating in about 6 months ago. And today we went to court, and today we won custody, which is really awesome. So we're really happy. So this all happened this morning, but I'm gonna explain their story because we really haven't talked about them. We do a lot of cases where there's going to be where we actually don't have ownership, permanent custody of the animal. We have partial custody of the animals while the court case is pending. So during that time period, it's a very, very difficult time period because it's always scary that the animals could go back to their original place where they lived. And in their case, they were living in a place where they were being raised along with puppies from a puppy mill and foxes that I think were being used for fur, or at least for breeding. I really didn't get the full story on the foxes, but they were actually outside in kennels and living in dog igloos. They were in really bad shape, mangy. It was just really, really sad. And the puppy mill dogs were breeding dogs, and they were really small dogs, just stacked in cages in a house that was just not livable for humans. It was a typical place that we've seen these animals, and so it was very upsetting to go in and see them, and then to also see these 4. And there's also a donkey involved, but he lives in a different section of the farm. Although if we're lucky, you'll hear him because he's very loud. And his name is Luke. I found out today his real name is Woodchuck, but we're going to stick with Luke because we like Luke. So anyway, when we first went to this case, it was 6 months ago. We were allowed to take them off the site because they were emaciated, so you could feel all their bones. They were very, very thin. They were covered in lice. Their wool had burrs, just matted. 2 of them are hair sheep, and they were covered in thistles. And the other 2 have wool, so their wool was all full of burrs and briars, and they were in really, really bad shape. And the thing that was the most obvious to us when we first got there was they were just so frightened. So they were really one of the more frightened group of sheep. It was very hard actually to catch them, to get them to go into the barn. But we figured out why, and it was because there were dead goats in the barn, and so I wouldn't want to go in the barn either. So we had pushed them into the barn so we could catch them, and in the back of the barn were multiple bodies of rotting goat corpses. So the case it's no better or no worse than any of the cases we've been on. They're always just very painful to see animals that are just so frightened, and little to nothing that can be done. But they allowed us to pull them, and in the process of pulling them, we got them right on, Trisha. We got them really, really healthy, which is why we got to keep them. So I'll tell you more about that in a minute. But if you look at them, they're still very standoffish, like with our sheep. If you've ever seen us when we go in the sheep barn, the sheep are all over here. So what's going to help, and it's going to finally be able to happen, is we will put them in our main sheep flock. And the reason we didn't do that already was because we didn't want them getting attached to our sheep. Because if they got attached to our sheep, and we were by law required to bring them back, which, by the way, in Farm Sanctuary's history has never happened. I'm knocking on something wooden. wooden knocking, because we do not give up on these animals. So even if we would have had to continue fighting for them, we would have. But in this case, we won the first day, and I'm going to tell you how. It was really cool. I was called to the court case. I was supposed to be there this morning. When I got there, they were actually picking out jury members because it was a jury trial, and jury members were coming in and out as they, they were on breaks and stuff. And so I just was waiting. And one of the things that was weird was there were discussions in the lobby about some of the people there were people that had been turning this person in for about 10 years. And then the other people that were there were with the person that had originally owned the animals. And so there was a discussion about the care of the animals, and it was a little heated, and thankfully there were police officers there. So it's an interesting conversation. But the bottom line was, all of a sudden, the whole courtroom emptied out, and then I got a phone call saying, "Oh, you don't have to come because he just pled guilty," which was really funny. So I was sitting there while I got the phone call. So I finally had reached the district attorney, and he took me in the back to show me what he had shown the defendant, which was very interesting. What he had done, because one of the things you do when you have a pending court case is you're documenting everything. So you document what they look like when they come in, and you document their health records, and you document anything that happens to them at the vet, and you document all the care and the hours and the feed and every single solitary thing you can document, and you get pictures. And so I was getting ready to go, and it's very hard to get pictures of them, by the way, because they don't like when you're really close to them, because they are still very frightened. Again, this will resolve, but for right now, they're frightened. So with this group, I asked Luke, our photographer, to go out and take pictures, and he took these amazing pictures of them and also of the donkey, Luke. And when I walked into the back room, it looked like a gallery of them. It was really amazing. So all these pictures of them blown up, like giant pictures of them. And I guess they have brought him in, and the DA was basically like, "Look at them now and tell me that this is that you're going to win this case." And he said, "I'm going to plead guilty," and he pled guilty. So thank you, healthy, beautiful animals. And this isn't the way it always plays out, but those pictures made such a difference and we're going to be putting things out this week on them, since we hadn't talked about them that much yet. Because everybody, you have to remember too, we've been taking care of them now for 6 months. So we are very attached to them. And as much as, they're standoffish, they've gone through so many things with their health that, you really you grow to love everything about every animal. It doesn't matter if they're shy. It doesn't matter if they're feisty. It doesn't matter about anything. They're so peaceful and happy. And when you're going to these cases, you feel sick, because there's always that chance that, these animals don't have a lot of protection by law. But those pictures spoke the 1,000 words that no one, I think, could have spoken. So it was a really amazing thing. Sam, you're looking at me funny.
We have a couple questions coming in.
Oh, good.
So Kelly wants to know if Luke Donkey was rescued with several other donkeys, if she's remembering that correctly, and if we've won custody of those as well.
Okay, we only rescued Luke. Luke was by himself, and his name was really Woodchuck. I'll point that out, which we just found out today. But Luke was the only donkey. We have 5 donkeys. He can't go with our donkeys, because when you take on a case where you don't actually have full custody of the animal, you're not allowed to do anything to them to alter their you can't neuter or spay, because if you neuter or spay and they're animals that are used in breeding and they get them back, they're no longer valuable to them. So if you don't have custody, legal custody, you can't just take them in. So he's not gelded. So he is a full-fledged stallion, beautiful donkey, but he's very aggressive with other animals. So he can't be with anyone right now, and it's very sad. So it's caused a lot of like angst with all of us, because he's lonely. So now he's going to be able to get neutered, and he'll get to join our donkeys, and he'll live with other donkeys, and it's going to be fabulous.
And this is the donkey that people on Explorer have been seeing.
Yes, that's the donkey that everybody on Explorer is like, why does he sound so sad? And now you know why. Yeah, so he's been sad. And it's really sad because he never lived with donkeys before. The neighbors, that's the other amazing thing about this case, is you have a group of very concerned neighbors who have been doing this, trying for 10 years to get this shut down. And that's a lot. Like, that's so much. And so they all went and visited the donkey. Some of them have actually had to get the sheep out of barbed wire because they would be caught in barbed wire. And the reason that these animals were starving, just so everyone knows, including the puppy mill puppies and the foxes, is that they were sometimes only being fed once a week. And that's really ridiculous. So the person didn't actually live on the site. So these animals were being fed like every 3 days, every 4 days, whenever he felt like feeding. And because of that, they were starving. And the little bit of food that was put out was going to be definitely scarfed up by the donkey, who is much larger and much more aggressive than these sheep. So when they first came here, these sheep hadn't been on grass and they were starving. So they quickly gained weight. And hopefully you'll get to see the before and after picture soon, because it's night and day. And also just the looks on their faces and the calmness that they now have is outstanding. And Luke is still very agitated, and he's agitated because he's alone. When you come up and you pet him, there he is. Do you hear him? That's him in the background. Can you guys hear him?
He knows we're talking about.
Yeah. What, Chuck?
I was asking what breed of sheep these guys are.
They look like Jacobs and Katahdins. I'm not sure. There are about, it's so funny because there are like 500 breeds or something of sheep, and these are very small, so they're not typical, and they also don't have horns. So I actually don't think these are Jacobs, and I will research and find out what the breed is. The white ones are Katahdins, though.
And we have questions if you can repeat what their names are.
Their names, and see if you can figure out the theme on this one. Lorelei, Rory, Lane, and Paris. Does anyone know what there's a theme? There's definitely a theme. Not a theme I even know, so we'll know what age you are by your guess on the theme. Okay.
I don't have any guesses on that yet, but everybody
you
was
will.
able to hear Luke in the background.
Okay, good. So yeah, Luke is very talkative when he needs something. And this week, I think a lot of Explore people actually saw the donkeys in the sheep barn, and it was because we were moving them down here, and they're actually here somewhere. They're down in this area now, but they had to go past Luke because we were running them down the road, and they were loose. We just like herd them down the road, so we were herding them down the road in the middle of the sanctuary, and they all stopped to see Luke, and it was one of the saddest things I'd ever seen, because when they kept going, he made a screaming sound like I had never heard in my life. So we're very excited that we have custody now, and we can put him in with his people, because everybody likes to be with their people. Nobody doesn't want to be with their people. And he's been lonely.
Everybody's chiming in that they're Gilmore Girls sheep.
Yes, they're Gilmore Girls sheep. Ding, 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 ding.
And Luke is a Gilmore Girls, Gilmore boy.
Gilmore boy. Hold on. I'm going to see if I can get them to come over here a little bit more. Here, you guys. And you'll see how shy they are, because this is not our typical sheep behavior.
So John is asking if guests will be able to see them at the celebration for the turkeys that's coming up in a few
You
weeks.
will. And they're going to join the sheep flock this week. And my guess is it depends on who they pick to hang out with, because if they hang out with friendly sheep, they will be friendly very quickly. My hope is they do. They look, I think they're going to hang out with Sarah and Claire, because they're young too. They're a couple years old though. Come here, girls. Lady. You guys want some, Granny? Come here. Come here. Come over here. Oh, and the first girl, you want this, Granny? I'm just going to leave it and walk away. This first girl, who is one of the cutest animals on the planet, this one is Lorelei, and she's actually blind in one eye. So she had a big blood clot, behind her eye, caused by trauma. And we don't know every single thing that happens to these guys. They're so cute. But we do know that they are, as frightened as they still are, they're nothing like they were. We couldn't get anywhere near them at all. So even walking towards them, because they don't know there's food in the bowls, clearly, that was going to be like a celebration grain, but clearly they don't feel like celebrating yet. They don't realize. There we go. There we go. Yay!
Do the ones who look like one another more bonded, or are they all bonded together?
One's mother and daughter, and the other two are sisters. So yeah, you have two related, and they're all related. So the mom is the one in the back, Rory, and her daughter is Lorelei, and then the brave one that's coming up, that's Lane. Lane's gorgeous. Hi, Lane. She's like, excuse me. That's our celebration grain that Mom hasn't noticed yet. Now we're all coming. It's a big party. It's like a cake. It's like a cake. They're only eating out of one bowl. They're very close.
It's their Freedom Day.
It is. It's freedom grain. Nothing like a bowl of freedom grain.
So a few people are asking about Trisha checking them out in the background. What's going on over here?
Trisha is in, and if you are an Explore watcher, you will have heard Trisha. We're having some trouble with Trisha because, and not in a bad way. I mean, bad. It is bad in some ways though. So Trisha is completely blind, and she was blind since birth. So when she came here, she was about 7 years old, but she was already completely blind, and she's very used to her surroundings. And what's happened over the last few weeks is we have been bringing animals in from California. So the California cows arrived, and we also had a rescue that we brought in, and she can smell the new cows, but she cannot see the new cows. And the problem with that is that when you can't tell where they are, but you can smell that they're there. She's in like a protective mode. So she's mooing like she's very, very angry. And I think it's because she's frightened, because she can't really tell where they are, but she knows that they're not her people. So she's nervous. So she's making this very deep guttural sound. She was just doing it right before we started filming. And the other thing is she's very protective of the people in her flock. So she knows these sheep are here. Like, she smells them, and she's been around them now for about 6 months. So when something's happening on this side of the fence, like away from her, where she can really get close to the cows, she's protective of the sheep. So she's watching them right now. Even though she can't see, she's staying close to the fence line. So for whatever reason, she's very nervous about something happening to them. And that weird vibrating noise you're hearing is a goat taking their horns and rubbing it across the fence. It's great.
So for people who are joining in a little bit late, can you just recap how we learned about this case, how we came to get them, and the whole process of what's been going on?
Yes, so we were called in by Broome County to look at the animals, the farm animals that were at this facility. Again, the facility was a puppy mill / fox breeding facility / I have some sheep and a donkey place. I can't even talk. The property where they were being housed had really broken down fencing. They were living in like a kind of a shed that was put up with plywood. There were dead goats kind of rotting in the back of the shed. They were just kind of stacked there after they died. They just kind of been tossed in the back. And then the puppy mill was one of the things I think that probably triggered it, and the foxes. The foxes were being kept outside in chain link fences. They were really mangy, really underweight, just in really, really bad shape. They went to a sanctuary as well. And then there were young female dogs and some males, and they were breeding dogs. And they were living in a house in stacked cages. And it was, I had never seen anything like it. Like, the house was not inhabitable for any human, so therefore should not have been inhabitable for anyone else. So, but it was. And so those cages of dogs were in there. And it was frightening because the dogs were really scared. And when we came in, they were shaking, their whole bodies would shake. And they had water, like what you would put in a hamster cage, that kind of water thing with the little spout. And a lot of them were empty. And the person that had them was coming every 3 days or 5 days or whenever he decided to come to feed them. So the sheep and the donkey that we took in were emaciated. They had really thick lice. It was so bad how much lice they had. And then Rory, the one that's right in front, the blackest of the two smaller black and white sheep, she also has trauma to the eye, so has a big blood clot behind the eye, can't see out of her right eye. And again, these were such frightened sheep. And those white sheep, by the way, little FYI, can jump right over you. So catching them was fun, a lot of fun. And so we just went to court today. It took 6 months, but they now went to court today. When I first got there, they were selecting the jury, and then all of a sudden everybody cleared out, and I didn't understand what was happening. And what happened was he had gone back with the DA and seen pictures that Luke had taken, and we had blown them up. He had blown them up so big, so it looked like you were going into this beautiful gallery of these gorgeous animals. And he showed the guy the animals in the pictures, and they didn't look anything like the animals we took off that property. So he pled guilty, which not only saved these 4 sheep and the donkey, but all the dogs and the foxes. So everybody is safe, and they never have to go back. And so now, because we have custody, full custody, we can neuter neuter poor Luke, who's just been sitting by himself because he can't go in with our donkeys because we have females and we don't breed because we're a sanctuary. So he's going to be much happier. And then these sheep, who are still very frightened, once they join a larger flock, they'll feel safer, and that's very important to sheep. They really like, it's their safety in numbers, and they're tiny sheep. So the alpacas actually live with them. They'll be out here in a little bit too. Just because they're just so small, and we really do worry about predation with somebody that small. But when they're in a large group of sheep, they'll feel safe, they'll be safe, they'll do much better. And yeah, they're just gonna, it's great because they're actually free, because every day when you look at them, you know that there's a chance that we could go to court and lose, because there are so few laws to protect farm animals. There really are. And we've taken animals out of horrific situations where it's been a battle, and what we have to do is document every single solitary thing that happens to them and be able to present that information in court. And thankfully, the pictures won this one, so I didn't even have to talk. And underneath this outfit, yeah, that's right, pictures are worth 1,000 of my words or anybody else's words to say just how amazing the change is with these animals. It's insane. And I'm still wearing my fancy clothes. I had to dress up to go to court, so I got my fancy clothes under my farm clothes now because it's too cold for fancy. So yeah, so we're back and happy. It's been a good day. I've been like really nervous about this for weeks, knowing that it was coming up, because we just found out. And again, like we do a lot of these cases. Same thing happened last year with Painted Meadow Farms, and we had taken out, like 100 and some, no, 250 animals, and we could have lost them all, but instead oh, there she is. Hi, Rory. Sorry, Lorelai. So that's Lorelai. That's the really sweet one. She's trying to be friendly with us. Oh, but last year we won. It took us months and months and months and months and months to win the court case in Cattaraugus County with the 250 animals that we took in. And the whole time, the person that had originally been the owner of the farm had said she would rather see them dead than go to sanctuary. And so it was nerve-wracking. And then the day you find out, it's just such a massive relief. Because you just never know. And we would continue to fight. Just a little FYI, we wouldn't be like, take them. But it is nerve-wracking to know that it is possible. And so we're very, very happy that this worked out the way it did. Right? Hey, Lorelai. She's eating. There's so little grass left on the farm because it's so cold. She's like, I'm going to eat every weed in this pasture. Look at how perfect.
Can't believe how there are so few laws to protect farm animals in need.
There really are, and there's fewer laws to protect the birds. So chickens get the least protection, really. And a lot of times, it's really funny because a lot of these cases happen because of other animals. So dogs really upset. When anything happens to a dog, the whole world crashes. So that's a good way to get into an area where there are farm animals if they also have dogs, because people complain a lot more about the dogs and the mistreatment of the dogs. Same with cats and horses. You can look over here, look over there. She's getting really close. She's like, what is happening? It's a big celebration. In this case, they were dogs, but in like the Painted Meadow Farms case, the original animal that they were checking on was a horse. And so horses also are, they're a gateway animal to get us onto property sometimes, because farm animals often go unnoticed, and we have been to properties where there are hundreds of dead farm animals. So it is one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen when you go to these cruelty cases. Right, babies? They were like, it was horrific. They look so different now. I can't wait till you guys see the before and after pictures. Because we also don't like to talk about the stories before the cases as much as, we did with Painted Meadow, just because it was such a big case and it would have been obvious that we had an extra 250 animals. But in this case, we were kind of not talking about it so much. And now we can. We're very, very happy, and we're so excited that they're here, and they are just going to be so happy. So for all you, hello, cute. That's Rory looking up. But for all you people that watch the Explore Cams, you're going to have 4 new sheep peoples that are going to enter the farm very, very soon.
So we have a couple of general questions about
Sure.
animals, aside from these 4 here.
Okay.
So would like to know how Falco has been doing.
Oh, Falco's fantastic. And if you turn the camera around, Luke, I see him. Okay, so if we can get Luke to turn the camera around.
Where is it?
Yeah, Falco is not the first Holstein. That's Belinda. He's the second Holstein to the right. And he is back out with his people, looking good, feeling fine, healing up. And he's actually healing quicker. And it's really funny because when I had come to visit him, he was clearly upset that I was leaving without him. And he had licked my hair so much that it looked like I had put mousse all over my hair. And it looked really great. So I went out, but no, it wasn't that great. But I had a lot of product in my hair when I left. And then he moved and moved and moved when I left, and it was heartbreaking. And they heal better when they're here. And at first we couldn't do it because the abscesses that he had were in the body wall, and they were so big. And so the hole in his side, you could definitely fit like a softball in that hole. And it was deep enough to fit it almost all the way in. So really serious surgery that required him, to stay there until it started to heal properly so we wouldn't go through the same thing over and over again. And now it's healed enough that he can do the rest of the healing here, and it is no place to heal like home. So he's back with his best friend Bellamy, and he loves Michelle, and of course his mama of all mamas who took him over, Layla, is just thrilled to pieces. So we're all very happy he's home.
Our second question was actually about Bellamy. Marion remembers her as a little girl who was found in a ditch with maggots last year. Like, how has she grown since then?
We're gonna have to do we'll try to go in. It won't be this coming week because we're gonna be in California for our turkey celebration that everyone should come to. But anyway, we're gonna be in California next week. So the week after, maybe we'll come down here so you can see Bellamy. Bellamy is stunning. Like, she has some scarring, and that is it. And she's absolutely beautiful. She's really big and tough looking, and she moves all the time. And she's really, really into all these new cows. So it's going to be great for you guys to see her again because she doesn't look anything like she did. She's really, grown into a very beautiful cow. She does not have as much, obvious neurologic issue going on. Like, she's definitely gotten used to her surroundings. She walks really well. You would never know there was anything wrong with her. And she's super, super happy. So yeah, you can see, we'll hopefully see her in 2 weeks, and we'll put some pictures up of her. I've got some great pictures that I can give them to put up, and we'll have, maybe you'll see her this week. You never know.
Couple more cow questions.
I'm ready.
Okay. Kelly would like to know, speaking of friendships, is there any budding relationship happening with Carlton and Milton by any chance?
Carlton and Milton? Nope, there's not. Milton is still into his little buddies again. He does hang out with Carlton. The good news is Carlton seems to be getting close to Sam. Sam is the big giant Holstein, and unfortunately Sam is a lot older. It's like a mentorship. He's mentoring our little Carlton. But the sad part about being older is that he won't be around as long, obviously, as Carlton. But Carlton is definitely much happier in this group. And he seems to hang out the most with Sam. But the babies are always around them. So, it's kind of like more of a family thing. And he still doesn't have that, unique best friend like most of them get. But there are a couple that never do. So hopefully, he'll be okay like that, or he'll join in with another couple, because we have a lot of trios as well. But some of the cows are a lot more standoffish. They're just like people. I think some people just like to be alone. They're more like the introverts and the extroverts. So he is an extrovert, but he also likes to be alone. So extrovert, loner. That would be on his personal page if he was on Match.com. I'm a loner, but I'm really an extrovert.
And how are the two lady cows that we showed last week that came from Orland?
Oh, okay. The lady cows have joined the babies. So again, if you're on Explore, you'll see them. They are a lot happier now that they're in a herd. So again, the whole idea of being in a herd is a really big deal for these guys. They're much more afraid when there's only a couple of them because they feel really vulnerable. And when they're in a herd, there's an established herd leader. They actually fought with Bonnie, which I was shocked. Bonnie went after them, which was really interesting to watch because Bonnie just seems, because she's frightened of us, seems so docile, but in all reality, Bonnie is very, very feisty. So Bonnie went after them. They had a big headbutting war. She definitely won with Amelia and did not win with Frida. But once Frida and Amelia, they're going to have a laparoscopic ovarectomy procedure in November. So once that happens, and they come back in they're little cuts because of that, so it's not a big deal. Once they heal from that, Amelia is probably going to join the main herd. Frida, if Amelia finds another friend, because Frida picks on Amelia too. So Frida's just feisty and probably would do much better in the main herd. And I've already figured out who she's going to be best friends with. So she's going to be best friends with Natalie, because she's got that same, we like to call it a natitude. It's like Natalie attitude, natitude. Because she's a really tiny cow who has so much power. Like, she just owns everybody. So yeah, they all have such cool personalities. Oh, here we go again. We're free. It's the sound of freedom.
So people are asking where you'll be in California for the
Well,
celebration.
I'm going to be for the celebration of the turkeys, and it's on the 3rd and the 4th. If you haven't signed up and you're dying to see me, I will be there. It's going to be in Acton. We're very excited. We're very excited about all the celebration for the turkeys. If you have not been, you need to sign up. It is one of the most fun events that we have, because you get tons of animal time. So you have farm time, and then you get to like hang out with the turkeys and feed them and watch them eat, and then you get to eat, and it's really awesome, because anytime that you combine really happy animals and really great vegan food, you got a winning combination, in my opinion. And I will be there. And I would love to see all of you, so please, 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 if you haven't signed up, sign up. I know that at least the Saturday event here is completely sold out. The Sunday event has some openings, but you got to come, and definitely in Acton. I think there are some openings for both events. I don't know how many. I'll have to check. Hopefully I'm not lying to you, but you definitely should come, because it really is a fun event. Gene and I are both going to be there. We'll probably do a little song and dance. No. We've been practicing. So definitely come. We're very excited about it. And again, it's just a really nice event. I'll tell you everything you've ever wanted to know about turkeys. It's going to be great. Everything.
Will Albert Donkey be there?
Albert Donkey is going to be there, and Albert Donkey is enough of a reason to drive see a donkey. Yeah, we're very excited about it. All of these events are so much fun, and it's just nice to be around people and eating vegan food and talking about the animals and seeing the animals and just having a really, happy day. Later, bye. See, they're done. They're like, okay, thanks. Thanks for the rescue. Goodbye. Where you going? Where are you going? Lorelei, don't leave us. I'm really excited about them joining the sheep. So anyway, you are going to see all of them in the sheep barn soon. Oh my goodness, you're so cute. She's going to go over and see Roz. Let me get out of the way here. She's like, that's another blind cow.
Does Roz feel the same way as Trisha does about neighbors?
Yeah, it's really funny, because the relationship with cows and sheep, and the only reason we don't have like a lot of cows and sheep together is we've had a few accidents, and nothing like nobody got killed or anything, but cows are very big, if you haven't noticed, and they don't mean to do things. They accidentally step on feet, they accidentally step on tails, and they don't even know they're doing anything. It's not like they're like, I'm going to take that tail. They're just, it's hard for them. It's like a bull in a china shop. So it's that same idea. It's a bull in a sheep shop, and it can be very, it's easy for them to get hurt. And when there's food involved, because the last time we had cows in with our sheep, we had a big guy named Leo, and if he wanted food, he would just lift the sheep off the ground with his head and kind of toss them aside, and that's not appropriate. So, but the sheep, what I did notice is the mothers, the females, I call them mothers because they were, a lot of the dairy girls got very attached to the sheep and would lick them like they were their own children. So we had a lot of wet sheep too, when we had some cows in with our sheep, because at one point we had some special needs cows that live with our sheep. But again, it really was very easy for them to get hurt, and we have such a variety of sheep with our sheep. Like we have, like the youngest ones are really tiny, and young and like babies, and then you have the elderly are in that. Some of the elderly ones are still in the main herd, main flock. So we just are really careful with who we put together, but they do like them a lot. And these cows actually, Isaac, who lives in here with the giant horns, has zero need to be around cows. He could care less about other cows. He loves the goats, and he lets them eat out of his mouth, and he licks them all the time. And if he thinks you're doing something weird to them, he chases you. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. So they do have different relationships, and this is actually one of my favorite groups, because it's like the island of misfits. favorite toys. They don't fit. This is the group that they just weren't fitting anywhere else. And so it's a variety pack of alpacas and sheep and goats and donkeys and cows, all in one barn, all doing pretty well. But it's not the norm all the time. So sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Right, girls? Right, Woodchuck? I'm really hoping for one more Woodchuck call, aka Luke. Nothing.
So people can continue to tune in and watch out for them.
Yes, please do. Please tune into the Sheep Barn Cam. Look for them. We will actually let you know when they're going to come in. Maybe we'll put a post out and we'll put like a little short video or something fun out so you can see how the sheep react, because it is really cool to watch. And I don't know how they're going to react, because it's so crazy with all the sheep that we have in the flock. Sometimes when you introduce a group, they get lost and they sit there and cry for a few minutes trying to figure out where the other one is. So it'll be neat to see who falls in love with them and who wants to play with them and who, wants them to go away. We'll see. It's going to be great. But anyway, tune into that, and we'll keep you posted also on Luke. And once his surgery's done, hopefully we'll have an introduction with him and our donkeys as well. But just remember that they're home now. Yay, we're home. And they get to stay here forever. And thank you so much for all you do, because if it wasn't for our members, we could not do these rescues. And animals like this would go on for as long as they would. They'd probably be dead by now, actually. This group probably would have starved to death. But you give us the ability to go in and be able to actually save them. So thank you so much, and we will be putting out some posts on them, and the news is coming today, so it's going to be great. So thank you very much.